Hey, this is Teddy Atlas. You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Keep watching. Keep watching.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So last week I watched some more good boxing matches on the PBC series. I'm telling you right now, the PB series is just on fire, constantly putting fight cards on. We had one this Tuesday, then we had one yesterday, we had one on Saturday. So, you know, it just keeps going. And of course, Devin Alexander got upset by Aaron Martinez last night. It was a good fight. You know, it's kind of cool to see upsets every now and then, especially when you think the opponent has no chance and he ends up winning. So I'll talk more about that in another video. But what I want to talk about in this video is the question that was asked to Teddy Atlas and Nigel Collins. Nigel Collins is an ESPN boxing writer and a former editor-in-chief of The Ring magazine. So they asked Teddy Atlas and Nigel Collins this question. Who is the face of boxing? In other words, who is going to basically take that torch that Floyd Mayweather carried for a good 18 to 19 years, right? Now, Nigel Collins, which doesn't surprise anyone, he immediately said it's going to be Gennady Golovkin. But Teddy Atlas' answer was the most intriguing because he picked someone out of the box. He picked someone that isn't often mentioned to be the future of boxing. Before I even tell you who he picked, I'll tell you the names that he mentioned. He did mention Golovkin. He said, yeah, well, you know, Golovkin is a hurricane, and, you know, people love to see hurricanes. They don't like to be in them, but they love to see hurricanes. But, you know, he basically gave his reasons why he didn't think that he would be the future of boxing. Then he brought up Roman Gonzalez. He praised Gonzalez's skills, but he said the problem is he's a flyweight, and frogs like flyweights, but not too many fans like to watch flyweights. I'm quoting exactly what he said, by the way. So these names I'm bringing up are somewhat runner-ups, because then he mentioned Canelo Alvarez. After he mentioned Canelo Alvarez, then he made his pick of who he believes will be the face of boxing. And he chose Keith "One-Time" Thurman. In contrast to the other candidates, Teddy Atlas basically said that Keith Thurman was the most athletic, the most intelligent, and the fact that he could box and he could fight on the inside when he has to. I'm paraphrasing, but this is pretty much what he said about Keith Thurman. He also said that Keith Thurman can have the temperament of being a safety-first fighter, like another fighter that we know that ran the sport for 19 years and was the best pound for pound for the last, 5-10 years, and that's Floyd Mayweather. Once again, I'm quoting what Teddy Atlas said. So he basically was comparing Keith Thurman to Floyd Mayweather, or at least suggesting that Keith Thurman comes the closest to Floyd Mayweather. We'll see. Those are some pretty big-ass shoes to fill, right? One thing I will say about Teddy Atlas making this pick is I remember way before Tim Bradley had even moved up to welterweight, when he was just this undefeated fighter and he was snatching all the belts at the junior welterweight division, I remember seeing big things for Tim Bradley. I thought that this kid was extremely talented. And I remember watching Friday Night Fights one day, and there ESPN, Teddy Atlas was, and he was saying, when no one was really talking about Tim Bradley, he was saying, I think that Tim Bradley is top 3, the best fighter in the world right now, and I don't really see anyone beating him. From that point on, Tim Bradley, he went on to beat Manny Pacquiao, to beat Juan Manuel Marquez, Ruslan Provodnikov, undefeated Jesse Vargas, and the list just goes on and on and on. And I just thought about it as I'm talking about all of this. Now Teddy Atlas is training Tim Bradley, right? But anyway, let's go ahead and get back to this future face of boxing. I think when some fans hear the term the face of boxing, they get it kind of misconstrued what it actually means. A lot of these casual fans, they just look at it as who they like. You know, like who do you like? Who do you want to be voted as the face of boxing? But it goes deeper than that. When you ask the question, who is going to be the face of boxing, that pretty much means who is going to dominate the sport for the next 5, 10, or even 19 years. Who do you see doing that? Do you see Golovkin dominating the sport for the next 10 years? Do you see Roman Gonzalez dominating the sport for the next 10, 19 years? I mean, realistically, no other fighter may be able to do what Floyd Mayweather did and dominate the sport for 19 years. But even if someone could do it for 10 years, that would be impressive, right? Hell, even if it's 5 years from today. Imagine a fighter beating all of the best competition that is available, all the way from today to 2020. That would be an astonishing accomplishment. You know, Keith Thurman has a very tough fight coming up in December. It hasn't been announced yet, but it's most likely going to be against Shawn Porter. And that is going to be a very difficult fight. That is a huge step up for Keith Thurman. Matter of fact, if Keith Thurman goes in there and dominates Shawn Porter, then it looks like he does have a chance of being the face of boxing, sitting on top of the throne. I mean, now he's still going to have to worry about Errol Spence in about another year, which I see that fight as probably being the biggest, most competitive fight at 147 a year from now, or whenever they end up facing off. So, but there's no guarantee that Keith Thurman is even going to beat Shawn Porter, because that is a very tough opponent, right? And this is the problem with Golovkin. Golovkin's not fighting the Shawn Porters. He's not fighting the Keith Thurmans of his division, okay? Now, we know Golovkin, he actually wanted to fight Peter Quillin, and now Peter Quillin is fighting against Danny Jacobs. Hopefully, they can work something out to where Golovkin can fight the winner of those two. But, you know, I asked the question one more time. Do you guys see Golovkin being dominant and undefeated 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if he were to fight the best competition in his division from 160 to whenever he decides to move up to 168? It's a tall order, right? It is a very, very tall order. You know, something else I thought about, it's pretty interesting, is Teddy Atlas is not the only person to pick Keith Thurman over Gennady Golovkin. Oscar De La Hoya, he did the same thing, or he said the same thing, pretty similar to what Teddy Atlas said. I interviewed Oscar De La Hoya, and we were talking about Keith Thurman. He was praising his skills. He even said he would love to promote Keith Thurman, right? So after he kept praising how good Keith Thurman was, another boxing writer, he says, oh, maybe he'll be the next Golovkin. And Oscar De La Hoya said, I hope not, right? And then, you know, the writers, they giggled. And this is when he compared them to each other. And he said, you know, Golovkin is good, but Golovkin is just an aggressive fighter. You know, like basically saying that he's a one-dimensional fighter, more easier to figure out. And he was saying Keith Thurman can do so many different things in the ring, right? He's versatile. And this is what he was pretty much saying. So to hear two professionals in the sport of boxing, a former boxer and a boxing promoter, and a Teddy Atlas who's a trainer and a color analyst, to hear them agree on this and pick Keith Thurman over Golovkin, I think it says a lot just because of their status, right? Once again, I don't know how far Keith Thurman is going to go, or Golovkin. I just know when it comes to Keith Thurman, he has a very difficult fight coming up very soon. And Golovkin doesn't really have a difficult fight right now. I mean, you know, Lemieux has a puncher's chance, but Golovkin, you know, Golovkin is a little misleading because he says He's Mexican style, he's this and he's that. But I assure you guys, once Golovkin starts fighting other guys with power, once he starts fighting other guys that have the same type of size, the natural size and strength that he has, we're going to start to see this man get on his toes a little bit. We're going to start to see him box more. We're going to start to see more jabs, more counter punching, more pot shotting. That's what I expect to see. Now, on the other hand, if Triple G doesn't make those adjustments against certain fighters that will have the same type of power and the same type of style that he has, then I expect Golovkin to possibly get knocked out. Like I told you guys before, if you look at the stats in the sport of boxing, the majority of fighters that get knocked out are often the aggressive fighters. Okay? Not to mention, a lot of aggressive, quote-unquote, tough guys are the ones that often quit on the stool as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future as Gennady Golovkin steps up in competition. We'll see what happens with Keith Thurman if he gets this fight with Sean Porter. That is going to tell us a lot more about Keith Thurman, and it's going to tell us a lot more about Sean Porter, because Sean Porter is really coming to win this fight. You know, I think Sean Porter, you know, he wants this fight so bad. He's been telling us how he wants to fight so bad, and I think he really wants to prove himself. I think he sees the buzz that Keith Thurman has, and he probably understands that people are looking at him as the underdog in this fight, and that's pumping him up even more. So that should be a hell of a fight, and that will be a hell of a way to close out the year of 2015. I'm going to tell you, man, what Al Haymon did in 1 year. Understand something, guys. This was the first year Al Haymon unleashed the PBC series. And we had so many fights. And he broke so many records. The ESPN Leo Santa Cruz versus Mares fight. The numbers, they did their best numbers on ESPN in over 17 years. Right? The Keith Thurman versus Guerrero fight peaked at 4 million views. When have you ever seen a boxing card, doing 4 million views? Then we had Broner versus Porter. And now we may close the year out with Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter. Oh yeah. This was the best year of boxing in a good 20 years. The best year of boxing was 2015, no doubt about it. So anyway, I want to close out with asking you guys a question. Who do you guys see as the future face of boxing? And remember, when I ask the question, I'm asking, who do you see as the next dominant champion for years and years and years? I'm not just asking you who you like. I'm not just asking you who you want to be the face of boxing. No, I'm asking you, who do you think is still going to be undefeated 5 years from now? Or even if they're not undefeated, just pound for pound the best fighter in the world 5 years from now. Who do you see sitting on the throne as the long reigning pound for pound king? That's all I got, guys. I'm on to the next one.